When Kojo Opon Kroma, for example, criticizes Gold Board, I may disagree with him and say that he's not being factual. But it's not personal because he's making an intellectual argument. Okay, if somebody like Abena Asare or say criticizes Gold Board, you can see that poor woman, he doesn't have the information. It's not personal. It's not personal. She doesn't have the information. You understand? If Anta criticizes Gold Board, all of them have criticized us in the past. We've not done a press conference. It is their entitlement. They are entitled to the opinion because they don't make it personal. You've not heard any of them talking about, hey, any bail conditions, they are best soon. You understand? But when you hear that guy speaks, you know that there is a problem. This is personal. So now, Salah, like Felix said, I answered your question. But let me just add this. You said people say that because of the role I played in opposition and all that. I'm not the only person who played a role in bringing the NDC to power. And I am not those who think that because of the role I played in opposition, I should be insulated or immune to criticism. Public officers must uphold the principles of probity and accountability. That is the underlying principle of the 1992 Constitution and a very key tenet of value of the National Democratic Congress that I belong to. So we embrace and welcome constructive criticism. When Kojo Opon Kroma, for example, criticizes Gold Board, I may disagree with him and say that he's not being factual. But it's not personal because he's making an intellectual argument. Okay, if somebody like Abena Asare or say criticizes Gold Board, you can see that poor woman, he doesn't have the information. It's not personal. It's not personal. She doesn't have the information. You understand? If Anta criticizes Gold Board, all of them have criticized us in the past. We've not done a press conference. It is their entitlement. They are entitled to the opinion because they don't make it personal. You've not heard any of them talking about, hey, any bail conditions, they are best soon. You understand? But when you hear that guy speaks, you know that there is a problem. This is personal. So we are not saying that we are above criticism. No, we accept and embrace criticism because it is at the heart of public service. Land reclamation. This is one of the issues that His Excellency the President is very, very passionate about. It is true that when a concession is allotted to a miner, be it a small-scale miner or a large-scale miner, there are requirements under the mining regulations of Ghana for them to undertake reclamation of. They must cover pits, they must plant trees, and in some cases, they are even asked to post environmental bonds by the EPA. And therefore, the responsibility for reclamation lies at the doorstep of that licensed miner. But look, we've been mining gold for over 126 years. And we all know that the enforcement of this reclamation requirement has been a challenge. And yet, Gold Board, that is barely 2 years old, must confront these age-long problems, these decade-long problems. But we are not going to make excuses. We are not going to say that these problems predate us, so we are going to fold our arms and just lament. So President Mahama is saying that even though Gold Board, you didn't cause the damage, because I have now set you up and you are now operating effectively and you're supposed to make profits from the gold you're buying and selling. When you make the profits, there is something called corporate social responsibility. Go to the areas that the lands have been devastated without reclamation and use part of your profit to reclaim those areas. That is why we went to Samreboy, Tano Nimiri Forest, and currently we are reclaiming 50 hectares. We have engaged the Engineers Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Forestry Commission. We are paying them over 35 million Ghana cedis for that as a part of phase 1. And next year, President Mahama says we should cover at least 150 hectares of degraded forest reserves. And we are going to do that next year. So it is not our obligation, it's the obligation of the miners, but you cannot say that because that has not been done over the years, nothing should be done. And that is why Gold Board is a very important intervention that we must all support. Because if you didn't have a Gold Board, who will be reclaiming Apaprama and Tanon, who will be doing that? The private people will not do it. And we have to always rely on donor funds for these reclamation projects. Now, traceability, an issue that keeps coming up, Galamsey gold. So, since Ghana started producing gold, that gold has always had a market. That gold has always been bought. And it was being bought by private individuals. And we're all in this country. And nobody said anything. And private individuals who were foreigners and Ghanaians bought this gold and exported it. Until the MPP government in 2021 decided to now go into gold purchasing. And when they went into gold purchasing through the Bank of Ghana and aggregators of the Bank of Ghana like PMMC, and that gold for oil, gold for reserves, they were buying gold. Nobody even spoke about who they were buying the gold from. It was never an issue. Then Gold Board comes in 2025, and all of a sudden somebody says that, oh, the reason why Galamsey is going on is because of Gold Board. Did Galamsey start in 2025 or 2026? No. Gold will always and has always had a market. Okay? Now, Gold Board has a buying system for buying gold. And that buying system is that we go through private licensed entities to buy the gold from miners. Now, we have told these people in their terms and conditions that buy gold from licensed miners. How do you check if that is being done? The only way you can check is through the use of technology. That is what we call traceability. And this technology has been non-existent in Ghana for decades. But I'm happy to tell you that under the direction of His Excellency President Mahama, we are now involved in a national competitive tendering process, which will be concluded this year and will allow us to acquire a modern traceability system, which will help us to trace every ounce of gold we purchase as Gold Board to their mines of origin. So once that system now is rolled out, then we will be able to know the sources of the gold. And then Parliament can pass a law as to what should happen to Galamsey gold. Whether that gold should be rejected and we should allow the people to smuggle it, or we should confiscate it, or we should buy it at a punitive discount. We'll go to Parliament for Parliament to pass that law. But for now, if Sami Jemfi sits in Accra, CEO of Gold Board, and his aggregator brings him 20 bars of gold, 5 kilograms each. If you hold a 5 kilogram bar of gold, can you with your naked eye tell where that gold, the components of that 5 kg bar, and which parts of the country or which mine it came from, for you to say I will reject or accept? No. And that is why we need technology. Nobody has done it. Those who did gold for oil, gold for reserve didn't do it. President Mahama's Gold Board will do it this year. Thank you very much.